Hello everyone, I'm Frank and welcome to Frank Puzzles. And this is today's average level difficulty puzzle, and it's called Entangled 159 by JC Goddard. And here are the rules. Uh, Règles en français plus bas? I guess that says rules in French also. I think. Normal Sudoku rules apply, which means place the digits 1 through 9 in every row, every column, and every 3 by 3 box. Normal 159 rules. The digits in column 1 gives the column number where the 1 is located within the row. The same applies to the 5 in column 5 and the 9 in column 9. Okay, so what that means is, for example, if say this digit was a 7, that would mean that the 1 in this row has to be in column 7. So that would mean this would be 1. Same with a 5. So for example, if this were a 7, that would mean the 5 would have to be in column 7. If this were, say, a 3, that would mean the 9 would have to be in column 3 in that row. And that's the 159 rules. And I had a previous puzzle where it took me a long time to figure out, that puzzle. But so hopefully this doesn't take as long as that one. Anyways, let's continue on with the rules. Palindrome. The sequence of digits along gray lines reads the same in both directions. So that means if the line reads the same this way, so if it went this square, this square, this square, this square, this square, that square, it would read the same if you read it this way, if you read it in sort of reverse. And that's what a palindrome rule is. Modular lines. Each sequence of three successive digits along teal lines must contain one of each residue modulo 3. Okay. Which are 147, 258, and 369. So that means in any sequence of three successive digits, so for example, these three, one must be modular, essentially mod 1, which is if it's divided by 3, it has to have a remainder of 1, which would be 1, 4, and 7. One has to be modular 2, which is 2, 5, and 8, because 2 divided by 3 has a remainder of 2. 5 divided by 2 has a remainder. 5 divided by 3 has a remainder of 2, and 8 divided by 3 also has a remainder of 2. Or modular 0. And so the last one has to be modular 0, whichever one of the one is not modular 1 or modular 2. It has to be modular 0. So 3 divided by 3 leaves a remainder of 0. 6 divided by 3 leaves a remainder of 0. 9 divided by 3 leaves a remainder of 0. And that's what modular lines are. And remember, it has to be any 3 successive digits. So, for example, these 3 digits also have 3 unique modularity digits, if that makes sense. Hopefully that does. If my explanation doesn't make sense, please tell me in the comments, and I'll try to come up with a better explanation of modular lines. Okay, digits joined by a black dot are in a ratio of 1 to 2. So for example, if this were 2, this would have to be a 1 or a 4 because it has to be a ratio of 2 to 1. Digits joined by a white dot are consecutive. So for these two digits, if this digit was a 7, this digit would have to be a 6 or an 8. Because they have to be consecutive, which means differ by 1. Digits joined by an x sum to 10. So these two digits add up to 10. Not all dots and x's are necessarily given. So there could be two other digits in the puzzle, in fact, there might be many of them, where basically they are consecutive, or they have a 2-to-1 ratio, or they add up to 10. It's just that we are given specific information about the cells separated by these symbols. Oh, and there are also rules in French. My French is horrible, so please, I'm not gonna be reading those because I don't speak French very well. Anyways, those are the rules. If you'd like to play along, there's gonna be a link in the description. And now I'm gonna get started. Let's go. Okay, what do we have here? So we know these. Sorry, the gray lines are palindromes, which means specifically this line equals this. This line equals this. And this line equals that. Same here, right? We'll just make it here. Pink, I don't know, green. And so this is green. This is pink. And that's blue. Okay, so one thing we know is all three of these have to be blue, pink, and green, right? So all three of these digits specifically have to be here. That means one of these are consecutive. So similarly, the yellow, orange, and gray ones have to be here because the gray cannot be in either of these, so it has to be one of those three. The orange cannot be in either of these, so it has to be here. And yellow cannot be in either of these because of Sudoku. So yellow also has to be there. Okay. It tells us, so the orange. Okay. So one of these is 1 through 3. One of them is 4 through 6, and one of them is 7 through 9, right? Because this tells us where 1 can be on this row. But if you had 2 that were from 1 through 3, then you would have two ones in box 7. And that would not be allowed by Sudoku. So we know one of these is 1 through 3, and similar logic applies for 4 through 6, and similar logic applies from 7 through 9. So we know one of these is from 1 through 4. Sorry, 1 through 3. One of them is from 4 through 6, and the last is from 7 through 9. We know two of them are in a 2-to-1 ratio. So similarly here, we know there's two consecutive ones. So either we have 3, 4, or we have 6, 7, right? Because the 9, similar logic applies here, right? The 9 cannot have 2 from 1 through 3 in this column, because then that would designate a 9 would have to be in one of. So say this was like 2 and this was okay, make it this way. Say this was 2 and this was 3, right? That would mean the 9 would have to be here and the 9 would have to be here, right? Which is not allowed. Okay, so we know that there's 1 from 1 through 3 here, 1 from 4 through 6 there, and 1 from 7 through 9 there, right? So since there's consecutive ones, it has to be either 3, 4, or 6, 7, right? Interesting. Right, so this has to be 3 and 4 or 6 and 7, and we don't know what the other one is. Okay, this one could be varied It could still be 1. It can't be 1, 2. It could be 2, 4, right? Because it cannot have 2 from 1 through 3. So this could be 2, 4. It could be 3, 6, or it could be 4, 8. So any of those are still possible. And remember, they have to be on those 3 lines. Oh. Okay, one thing we know about these. Okay, so if any digit is on this modular line, it cannot be also on this modular line, right? So it would have to be here. And then the modular line, the digit on the modular line would have to go here. Okay, so these 3. Oh, interesting. Um, hmm. What we know is these 3 cells have to be the same as these 3, right? These are all accounted for, and these specifically are not in this row, so they all have to be these 3 because there's 3 of them, and where else can it be? Just here, right? In addition, that means these 3 have to be here in this column. And we have similar logic here, right? So we have, oops, not that one. These 3 have to be here. And let's do pink, I guess. These 3 have to be here. I hate clicking on the edges. Okay, so that's important information to know too. Does it help us? Maybe, maybe not. Hard to say. So that means this is 3 or 4, or 6 or 7. So the 9 is either here or here, or here or here, right? Hmm. So we know 9 cannot be here. Hmm. So this is consecutive. So these are different modular numbers. These are different modular numbers. This is the same modularity as that one, right? This is the same modularity as that one. Right, so that's the same modularity as that. This is the same modularity as that. Hmm. Right. So there's 2 of each, right? Yeah. Okay. This is the same modularity as that. This is the same modularity as that. This is the same modularity as that. Therefore, there's 2 of each modularity here. This has to be 1 of each modularity also then. So we know this is modular 0 and modular 1. So this has to be modular 2. Because there's 3 different modularities there. This one's a little bit more difficult, I think. It's the same logic, right? So these modularities, this is the same modularity as that one. This square is the same modularity as that square. That same modularity is the same modularity as that square. And there's 1 of each. So therefore, this is also 2. Um, this cannot be 3 and 6. If this is 3 and 6, that means there's 2 of modularity 0. But we also already know that there has to be 2 of modularity 0 in these 6 squares or 6 cells. And because there are 2 here, if this was 3, 6, that would mean there's 4 numbers that are modular 0 when divided by 3, which is not possible, right? Because you only have 3, 6, and 9. So this cannot be 3, 6. Therefore, we know there's a 4. So this is a 4, and I'm going to use the corner marks because one of my viewers suggested I use it, which is correct. You know, I just have an unreasonable bias against it. I don't know why. I don't actually. I kind of know why. It's because like there are times when I want to delete things and it just gets hairy switching between the corner and the corner marks and the center marks. But anyways, we'll try to do it for our viewers, for the viewers. So the 4 has to be here, and it's either with a 2 or an 8. So this cannot be 1 or 7. So we know this is a 4. It cannot be 1 or 7. It cannot be 5 or 6 either, right? Because the 4 means that the 1 has to be in one of these spots. So this is one of these is 1. But that eliminates all other possibilities here. So it cannot be 5 or 6. It cannot be 1 or 7 because there's only one of modular 1, and the 4 already takes that place in these 3 cells. So it's not 1 or 7. It's not 4. It could be 2, 3. Oops. And this is why I don't like the corners. I have to keep switching. 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, or 9. It cannot be 5 or 6. Because again, it can't be in this box. Because then the 1 would be here, which is not possible. So this is 2, 3, 8, or 9. Okay. The 5 cannot be here. So the 5 is also here. So the 4 is one of these sets. We also have a 1 and a 7. So the 1 and the 7, one of them has to be here. One of them has to be here. Oh, sorry. One of them has to be here on the teal line, and one of them has to be here. Because you cannot have 2 of the same modularity on a modular line. Wait, why do I care about that? I don't. Okay. If this is 2 and 4, this is 9 or 8. Hmm. 2, 3, 8, or 9. That means the 1 is here because this is 4. We're not sure about this 9. This can't be 9. So one of these is 3 or 6. The other one is 9. Okay. Do we have any other rules? No, it doesn't look like it. Probably a 10 is probably an important rule. So if it's this one, it has to be 2 and 8. Right? If this number is that one, it's 2 or 8. So it cannot be 9, so it cannot be 1, 9. It could be 2 and 8. It could be 3 or 7. It could be 4 or 6. Hmm. So this is also 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. This cannot be 1 or 9. Oh, that's interesting. So this cannot be 1 or 9, which means this cannot be 8. This cannot be 1 or 9. So these are also 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Hmm. Actually, that is a good question. What happens if it is, right? So this cannot be 8 either, right? Because that can't be 1. So if it's 4, 8, this would have to be 4. This is 8. This would be 1. So we make that 4. Hmm. Okay, what happens? So that tells us all that information. Okay, why don't we go through what these are then? Say this was 2, this would be 2, this would be 8. We could have a 3 and a 4, or a 6 and a 7. This is 8, so this cannot be 5. Therefore, the 5 would have to be here. Okay. That seems reasonable. If this is 3, this is 7, this has to be 4. This is 2, 5, or 8. 2, 5, or 8. We have 3, this is 4. This can't be 7, so 7 would have to be here. That seems reasonable. Hmm. Okay. Say it's 4. If this is 4, this is 6. So this would have to be 3. This is 2, 5, 8. Hmm. Hmm. Maybe, yeah, maybe we can tell something with this. So 5 cannot be any of those spots. 5 could be a lot of things. 5 cannot be any of these spots. Oh. So if this was 9, this would have to be 5. That still seems possible. Why couldn't it be? Oh. None of these can be. No, any. These could all be 5. Okay. Well, okay. This one specifically cannot be 5. These could be 5. Hmm. Okay, that's not good. Hmm. Each sequence, blah blah blah. Yeah. I am just not good at with 159 rules. I don't know. I haven't done them very much, and I'm just not very fluent with it. Okay. If the one is here. Oh, interesting. If the one is here, that means this is 9, right? Because the one would be on the 9 column in box 6. So then this would have to be 1. Sorry, this would have to be 9, which means this is 2 or 3. Which means this has to be, if it's 2, this is 4, 8. If it's 3, it's 4, 2. Which means 1 is here. Okay. If the 1 is here, that means this is 8. Which means this is 2, 4, which means this is 3 or 9. So the 1 has to be here or here. The 1 could also be here, or it could be here. So the 1, oh, interesting. Okay, it cannot be 3 in that instance then. Okay. So assume the 1 is here, one of those 3. That means the 9 has to be here, which means this has to be, it cannot be 2, 4, 8. Okay, yeah, if this is 2, this is 4 and 8. Okay, so that's right out then. So if this is 2, this would have to be 4 and 8, but we know one of them has to be modular 0, one has to be modular 1, one has to be modular 2. And in this case, it would be modular 1. If this was a 2, this would be 4, 8. The 2 and the 8 are both modular 2, which does not work, because we know there's only one of each modularity, or modular mod values, in these 3 cells. So this cannot be 2. Therefore, this is 3 or 9. Therefore, we know this is 1 or this is 1, right? And we know this could be 1 or these 2 could be 1, right? Oh, that's interesting. So if this was 1, this would have to be 9. This would be 3. This would be 4, 8. And this would be 1. Okay, so that works. If either of these are 1, that means 8 is one of these 2, which means this is 2, 4, and this is 9. And so this would be 1. 2, 4, you would have the 2 being, the 1s being one of those 2. Okay. So the 1 can be, this can't be 1, this can't be 1, right? If this is 1, this would have to be 7, which doesn't work. If this is 1, this would have to be 7, which doesn't work. So we know the 1 is one of these 2. We also know the 1 has to be one of these 5. So the 1 has to be here. So the 1 is one of the pinks. We don't know which, though. Which means this cannot be 4 or 7 in any of these. So we know the 1 is one of these. Okay. So this is 8 or 9. If this is 9, this becomes 3, 4, 8. If this is 8, this becomes 2, 4, 9. So this cannot have 8 or 9 in it. So this is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, or 7. So 1 of 3 or 6, 1 of 2 or 3, and 1 of 1 or 7. Which means the 7 has to be here, right? Because there has to be one that's in column 7, 8, or 9. Otherwise, you have 2 1s in the same box. So this is 7. Sorry, this is 7. We know for certain. This is 7. So none of these 3 are 7. So one of these 3 is a 7. And we're using the corner one. One of these is 1, 2, or 3, obviously. One of these is 5 or 6. One of these is 5 or 6. Um, hmm. So these could be 1 also, right? So 7 could be here, here, or here. Um, ah, 4 cannot be here, right? If this, so we know this 7 has to be here. It cannot be the gray, the orange, or yellow. So the 7 has to be here. Because the 7 has to be here, it cannot have a 1 and it cannot have a 4. So we know, right, the 4 has to be one of these 3. The 4 also has to be one of these 3, which means the 1 is here. Okay, that tells us a lot, actually. So this can't be 2. This can't be 3. That can't be 3. Again, this can't be 2 because this would be 1, but we know the 1 is on the modular line. Because the 4 can never be on the modular line. The 4 is one of these colored squares. So the 1 and the 7 can't be there because we know that the 7 is one of these because this could be 8 or 9, specifically from this. Because we know the 1 is in column 8 or 9 in box 6. So therefore the corresponding 159 rule forces this to be 8 or 9. And we know this has to have an 8 or a 9 also. So this has to be a 7, and that's the logic there. So the 1 has to be here, which means this is 2 or 3. This is also 2 or 3, so we know the 1 is here. So we know this is 1. There's also 1 of 8 or 9. And so there's also a 5 or a 6 there. So this becomes, let's do 1, 5, 6, 8, or 9. This is 2 or 3. This is 2 or 3. This is 8 or 9. This is 8 or 9. Oh, we already knew that. This couldn't be 9 anyways, so. Okay, so this is 2 or 3. If this is 3, this is 1. Ugh. Hmm. So this cannot be 5. Well, we already knew that. The 1 has to be here. If this is 1, that means this is 8. This is 4. This would have to be 3, so this is 1. So the 1 is one of those. Which would mean this. Okay, so we also know the 1 is here. So if this is 1, say this were 1. If this was 1, that would force this to be 8. This would have to be 4. So this would be 1. This has to be 3 now. This is 1. It's 3 in the corner. Oh, it's not actually true. So this is 9. So this can't be 3. So this is 2. Okay, so that seems to work. What if this is 1? If this is 1, this can't be 1. So this is 9. This can't be 8 anymore. So this is 2 and 4. So one of these is 1. One of these is 1. This becomes 8. So 8. Okay, so, one thing. This specifically, this cell specifically cannot be 8 because the 1 can't be there. So this could be 1, this could be 1. Or it's 5, 6. Interesting. Which would mean this would be 1, 2. Does that really tell us anything? I'm not sure. Maybe, maybe not. Hmm. So the 9 has to be one of these three, these 5 also. So that means you have an 8 or a 9 here. You cannot have a 7 here. So 7 is somewhere here. This is 8 or 9. Hmm. Hmm. Right, so one of these is 7. One of these is 1. And then we have a 4, which is one of these 3. Okay. That still doesn't tell us enough. Okay, if this is 2, this has to be 8, which means this is 2. Hmm. Doesn't this have to be 6 and 7? I think so, right? If this is 2, that means 3 is eliminated, so it can't be 3, 4, so it has to be 6, 7. If this is 5, that eliminates both, so it cannot be 5. So this is 2 with 6 or 7. Oh, interesting. Okay, so none of these can be 5. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So this can't be 5, this can't be 5, this can't be 5, this can't be 5. Right. So this, if this is 2, remember we can only, for 159 puzzles, I think, 3 cells in the same box in a 1, 5, or 9 column cannot be in the same set of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, 8, 9. So therefore, we know that this has to be 2 or 8 because it has to be modular 2 because one of these is modular 0, one of them is modular 1. The other one has to be the opposite uh, polarity. Polarity is not quite the right word, but it has to be in the set that's opposite of the 6 or 7 or the 3 or 4, right? If this is 3, 4, this has to be 8. So this can never be 7. This is 8 or 9. This is 2 or 8. So the 9 in row 1 has to be in one of those two cells. So if it is, it cannot be yellow. It could be these. So say this was 2. If this is 2, this is 8. This has to be 6, 7 then, because this would be 2, right? So you have 6, 7, 6, 7. This would be 2. 6, 7, 6, 7. Okay, and then this would be 4, which would mean that's a 1. This is 2. This is 8, so this cannot be 9. Sorry, this has to be 9. which would mean 9 is one of these three. So this is 6, 7, 6, 7. This is 6, 7. Hmm. Okay, let's try other stuff. So say this was 9, right? Then this would have to be 1, which fits. This is 5 or 6. Ah, but this has to have 3 different polarities here. This is 3 different, sorry, these are 3 different modulars. These are 3 different modulars. Therefore, this has to be 1 and 5. So this would have to be 1 or 5, which means this is 1 or 5 also in that case, right? This can't be 6 because then you have 2 of modularity 0. And one of them has to be 0 here. One of these has to be 0. Is that right? Let me think about that through. Let me think that through. Hmm. So this would be 1. Is that right? Let me think that through again. This has 3 of modularity. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Because this is... So none of these 3 can be the same as one of these 3. So all 3 of these have to be here, which means there's 1 of each modularity. Okay. Yes, so that is correct. So if this is 9, this is 1. That means this is 1, this is 8, this is 3, this is 4. This has to be 1 and 5, which means this is 2, 6, 7. Which means the 1 is one of those. Which means this is 1, this is 1. We know it's 2, 6, and 7. So the 1 would have to be here. And this is 1 or 5, this is 1 or 5, which means this would have to be 1 or 5, this would have to be 1 or 5. So this could not be 1 or 5. This all seems reasonable. Hmm. Okay. What happens if we make it 5 or 6? So if this is 5, that means this is 1. So this has to, oops, this has to be 2. Um, so since this is 5, this has to be 6. So we have 6 and 7. So it cannot be 3. So this is 2, 6, 7. Huh. So either way, okay, so if this is 5, if this is 9, this is 3, so this is 4, 8. So this is 2, 6, 7. If this is 5, this can't be 5. This has to be 6. So then it's 2, 6, 7 again. Can this ever be 3? If this is 3, we have a 5 and a 7 there, right? So say this was 3, this was 1. This would have to be 9. This is 5 and 7, which means this is 1, 6, 8. So this is 2, 4. So this is 9, which means this is 1. So this can't be 1. So 9 is one of these, then you have 2, 4, right? This becomes 3, 5, 7. I mean, it seems reasonable. Hmm. Hmm. So the 9 is one of these, which means this can't be 9. Which means this is 8 then. So this would have to be 9. So the 9's one of these three. It can't be that one. It can't be that one. So this would be 9, which means that's 7. So this would have to be 4, 6 in that instance. Wait, no, sorry. 3, 4 in that instance. So this is 3, this is 4. Right? So that means this is 9, and that's 9. So far it seems okay. Right? This 3 means the 9 has to be in column 3. This 4 means the 9 has to be in column 4. 7's one of these. It cannot be 2. It cannot be 6. So this would be 5, 7. So say there's no 9, there's no 5. This is 1, 6, 8. This is 2 and 4. So this is 3, 5, 7. And we have this is 9. So this is 2 or 4. This is 2 or 4. Okay, so that can't be. So this has to be 2. This is 2. This is 4. This would be 4. Seems like I'm just solving it. This can't be 2, so this can't be 8. This can't be 4, so this can't be 6. This can't be 7, so this can't be 3. So we have 2, 3, and 6. This can't be 7. This can't be 7. None of these can be 7. Ah, we have a contradiction. Yes, this is 7 and 1. Okay. So that leads to a contradiction where we have this is 7 and this is 1, and they're both modular 1, which it cannot be because of the previous logic that we made. Because there has to be 2 of each modularity along this line, which means that there's 2 modularity here, which means this is 1 modularity here. This is 1 modularity here, which means that's 1 modularity here, because this is 1 modularity here, and therefore this cannot be. So it cannot be 1 and 7 there. Specifically, oh. Does it? I think we just ruled out it cannot be 3. Okay, so okay, yeah. So we tried 3 again. Here's the logic. Remember, in each set of 3 on column 1, 5, and 9, you have to have 3 that are specifically 1 from 1 through 3, 1 from 4 through 6, 1 from 7 through 9. Because of that logic, we knew this had to be 4 and 2 or 4 and 8. And because the 4 is there, this can't be 1, 5, or 7. We also know that 8 and 9 has to be there because of that same logic here, right? The 9 has to be one of these 5. Sorry, the 1 has to be one of these 5. So the 8 or the 9 is here. And we know this is 8 or 9 also, right? Because it cannot be 1 or 7. It cannot contain 5 or 6 because the 4 is here. Remember, and it can only contain 1 and exactly 1 of 4, 5, or 6. So it cannot be 2 or 8 because if it's 2 or 8, it forces the other to be 2 or 8, which means there's 2 of modularity 2. And we learned that this has to have 1 each of mod 0, mod 1, and mod 2 because there are 2 of each modularity here, and they correspond to these 6 digits. So all of that means this is 8 or 9, this is 8 or 9, so this has to be 7. We tried this being 3. So if that's 3 again, this is 1, which forces this to be 9, which forces this to be 1, right? This has to be 2 and 4, so the 8 has to be here. This cannot be 2, so this has to be 2, 4. That means also the 6 can't be there because only of you have one of each modularity in each set of 3 also. Um, so why did this have to be 9? Right, because this can't be 9, and none of these can be 9, and this can't be 9, right? This is 9, so this one specifically cannot be 9 because the 9 has to be in the yellow, orange, or gray cell. So this can't be 9, therefore the 9 has to be here, and the 9 cannot be here on this line, on this column. It cannot be here, 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 can't be here or here, therefore this is 9, therefore that's 7. So that's the logic. That's the logic that leads to a contradiction because now we have 2 that are modular 1 in these in this set of 3 cells. And we've shown from the logic that you have to have only one and only one of each modularity. So that does not work, which means it cannot be 3. So the 3 is out, which means this has to be 2, which means the 1 has to be here, which means this cannot be 1, which means this has to be the 1, which means this is 3. So this can't be 1. This has to be 1. So yeah, we have the 3 in the corner. This has to be 8. This has to be 4 because this is 2. So since this cannot be 8, this is 2. It cannot have a 5 because it has to have one distinct modularity. So 1 from 0, 1 from 1, 1 from 2. And 5 has modular 2, and 2 is modular 2, so that doesn't work. So this becomes 2, 6, 7. This is 1, 5, 9. The 3 forces the 1 to be here. The 8 forces the 1 to be here. The 4 forces the 1 to be here. So that's 1. So there's no longer a 1 here. There's no longer a 1 here. So the 1 has to be here, which means this is 9. Oh, so this is 1, 5, 9 also. This is 1, 5, 9. This is also 1, 5, 9. Right? If this is 1, that... Wait, is that case? Maybe not. Okay, let's not jump that gun. Okay, we do know, though, that the 1 is here. And we know that the 1 is here. And we know the 1 is here, right? This is 1, 5. Okay, so we have... This is... These 3 are 3, 4, and 8. As are these. This is 1, 5, 9. So this can't be 1. This is 5 or 9. And the reason... Okay. Dear viewer who tells me I should be using the corner, I hate cleaning these up. I just have to essentially delete stuff and then type in 159 because... but, you know, that's what it takes. Okay, so the 7 can't be here, or the 7 can be here. This is 2, 6, and 7. This is 3. This is 1, 5, or 9, so that's fine. So this could still be 2 or 8. Okay, this could be 3. This can no longer be 3. If this is 3, that would have to be 9, but that's not possible, so this cannot be 4. So this is 3, 6, or 7. This is 4, 6, or 7, which seems reasonable. So we got the 4, that's 1. Okay, so this cannot be 8, so that can't be 8. This cannot be 4, so this can't be 4, and that means that can't be 6 because they have to add up to 10. This can't be 3, so this can't be 3. Okay. So this can't be 1, therefore the 9 is here. Yeah. If this is 5... Yeah, there's nothing else that's shown here necessarily. Hmm. So this becomes, let's see, 2, 5, 6, 7, 9. So this and this polarity are the same. So if this is 1, this would have to be 7. Ah, this can't be 1 then either. If this can't be 1, this can't be 7. So this is 2 or 6. So the 7 has to be one of these two. So this can't be 7. Um, so this is 1, 5, or 9. Hmm. So this is 1. One of these is 1. So if it's 2, it's 6, 7, it's 8, it's 3, 4. That's interesting. So say this was 2, which would make this 9, which would make that 1. Nope, not 1. That would make that 2, which makes that 1. This 5. So this becomes 3. So that works. Then it would be 6, 7, 6, 7. This couldn't be 3. So this couldn't be 2. This couldn't be 3. This couldn't be 5. And this couldn't be 9. So the 9 is one of those two, which means the 3 is here. So this would have to be 6 and 7. So we know that the 9 would be one of these 4. So this can't be 3. This is 4, 8. This can't be 4. It's 2, 6, 7. So this is 2, 6, or 7. This is 2, 6, or 7. Hmm. This seems reasonable, so let's not try going down that route too much. So this can't be 7. We know the 7's here. So this can't be 7. Okay, what if this is 8? If this is 8, this is 9. Which means this can't be 9. This can't be 8. This can't be 9, so one of these is 9. So one of these is 9. So either that's 9 or that's 9, which forces this to be 7. Which means this is 3, this is 4, so this is 9, that's 9. This cannot be 3, this cannot be 4, this cannot be 9. 3, 4, okay, that seems reasonable. Hmm. Therefore, this would have to be a 6, right? Because 3 in a row cannot have um anyways, yeah. So this would be 4 or 8. This would be 3 or 4. This would be 3 or 8. So this would be 2 or 7. We know the 9's here. Right, so if this was 9, this was 6, because it has to be the same modularity. That's 3 apart. If this is 1, this is 7. Oh, wait. Right, modularity. Okay, I don't have to go down this rabbit hole right now. I might have to later. Okay, so we know this is 1 modularity. So this is mod 1. So this has to be 4 or 7. So this has to be 3 or 6. Okay. So this is 3 or 6. Huh. Because this has to be 4 or 7. So we have one, no, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9. 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9 here. 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9. And this is also 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9. 5, 6, 8, 9. This can't be 3. Hmm. Wait. This can't be 3 or 6. This can't be 3 or 6, right? Either 3 or... Oh. Right. This is 3 or 6. So these can't be 3 or 6 because um, you only have one of that modularity in that set, in this set of 3, which is the same as this set of 3. So this cannot be 3 or 6. 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 One of these is 4 or 7 because we know that's 4 or 7. So one of these two has to be 4 or 7. One of these two have to be 2 or 8. So this cannot be 4 or 7. So we know there's a 4 or 7 here, right? And that would be pencil marked. Okay, let's... Is it pencil marked? I don't even know. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Okay, so this is 1. You could have this being 5. So 7 cannot be here. That doesn't really tell us very much. I might have to go down the filling this one in. Hmm. So say, if this is 3, this has to be 7, which means this is 4, and it has to be 8. So this is 8, 3, 4, which would make that 9, which make that 9, and make that 9. Okay, so that seems reasonable. If this is 6, this is 4, and this is 7. So we have 6, 7. It has to be 2 and 7. So this is 4. This is 6. This would be 2 and 7. This would be 2 and 7. No 6, no 2. This would be 2 and 7. Therefore, this would be 4. So this would be 2, 7, 6. So this would be 2, which would force this to be 9. This would be 2. This would be 1. This would be 5. We'd have 6 and 7. This would be 9, which would force this to be 6. This would have to be 2, and this would be 7. So we'd have 2, 9 here. Ah, that's the contradiction. Well, there we go. So we went down that path, and we have 2 and 9 are here. Oh, wait, no, this is 3. Never mind, it's not a contradiction. This is 6 and 7. This can't be 4, so this can't be 4, this can't be 2. So no 2, no 9, this can't be 6. 5, 6, and 7 seems reasonable. This can't be 6. This can't be 6. This can't be 2. This can't be 2. So this is a 7, which would make that a 2. Which would make that a 2 and make that a 7. So the 9 cannot be here. Wait, the 9 has to be here, which means the 9 has to be here, which means the 8 has to be here. So this becomes 1, 8, and it has to be 5, I believe, right? No. So, okay. The 9 is not here. Right? Hold up. Okay. If the 9 is here, this would have to be 7. But that can't be 7 because the 7's here, right? So this has to be 8. Sorry, this has to be 9. Which forces the 9 to be here. Which forces this to be 8. So this can't be 8. This can't be 9. It has to be a 5 and a 9. And therefore we have a 3 and an 8, which doesn't work because the 3 would have to be here. I think this is a contradiction, right? Okay, let's just make sure we have it correctly. I'm not the biggest fan of these, but I mean, sometimes this is what you have to do. So say it was 6, right? No, it wasn't 6. This was 3. If this is 3, this is 7. No, it was 6. If this is 6, this is 4, which means this is 2 and 7, right? So the 6 has to be here, therefore this is 2. This forces this to be 9. There's no 2 here, so this has to be 2, which means that 1. This is 5. So this becomes 3. No 4, no 3. This can't be 9. This can't be 4. This becomes 2 and 7. This is 2 and 7. And this is 6, right? So this is 2, 6, and 7. There cannot... Oh, well, one thing I'm missing. Oh, that's not true. Okay. Well, this can't be 6. It can't be 2 anymore. So this is 3, 5, 8, 9. No 2, no 6. No 2, no 6. No 4. This becomes 5, 6, right? This is 1, which forces this to be the 7 because of modularity. This is 5, so that forces this to be 2 because of modularity. This is 6. So that forces this to be 7, this is 2, this is 7, this is 2. So the 7 cannot be here, which means the 4 is here. So we have a 3 and a 4 here. Which forces this to be 5 and 9. But this 5 and 9, right, because it has to have 3 different modularities. And it can't be 5 and 8 because those are both modular 2. So it would have to be 5 and 9. But that would force this, the 9 being here would force this to be 7, which is contradicted. Therefore, we know specifically the green cell cannot be 6, and we know it's 3. Okay, so that is a 3, which makes that 7. So this becomes 3 and 4, which makes that 8, because it has to have 1 from 1 through 3, 1 from 4 through 6, and 1 from 7 through 9 exactly. So this is 8, this is 8, this is 4, this is 3, this is 4, this is 8, There is no 4 here. So the 7 is here. This can't be 3 or 8. This can't be 3 or 8. Um, this has one. This has to have a 2. So this becomes 2 and 7. So this can't be 2. This can't be 2. This has to be 5. Um, so this has to be 5 also. So this is 1 and 5. This is 2 and 7. So the 9 has to be here, which means this is 5 and 9. So this has to be 1, 5, 9, which means this does have to be 1, 5, and 9. I think. Let's not jump the gun again. No 3, no 8, no 3, no 8, no 5, 9, no 5 and 9. It's 2 and 6, 2 and 6. So this becomes 1, 2, 6. This becomes, okay, so this is 9. This is 9, and this is 9. So this cannot be 9. This can't be 8. This can't be 4. This can't be 3. This can't be 8. But it also can't be 4. Therefore, this is a 3. This is 3. This is 4. This is 4. This is 8. This is 8. This can't be 9. So this can't be 5. This can't be 9. So this has to have a 5. Which means 3 has to be here. This can't be 3. Therefore, this can't be the 5. Therefore, the 5 has to be here, which makes that 3. Right? This 3 points to this 5. Right? This 3 says that in this row, column 3 contains the 5. So that's correct. So this is 2 or 7. It cannot be... this cannot be 9. So this is 2, 6... Oops. 2, 6, and 7. It can't... It could be 2. It could be 6. It cannot be 7. So this is 2 or 6 specifically. This is 2 or 6. Okay, so this is 1, which makes it 7. We might have to fill in numbers here too. Okay, this is 9. Okay, no, that forces this to be 6. So this is 6, which means this can't be 6. This is 2, 7, 9. This is 2 and 7. This is 2 and 7. So this is 6. No 7, no 4, no 8 on these consecutive. Okay, so this is 5 and 7. So we know the 8 is here. This can't be 8. Therefore, this is the 8, which means this is 5. So this is 7. This becomes 1. This is 5. This is 2, 6, 7, which forces this to be 1 because this 6 says in this row, column 6 has the 1. So this is 2, this is 6, this is 1, because this one says 7 has the 1. 5 is either one of these, so it's 4 or 5. 5 is here, so this is 2. This can't be 1, this can't be 1. We have 3 and 6 possibly here. So this is 3 or 6, this is 3 or 6, this is 4 or 5. Okay, so this is 4, 8, 3, yeah, so that matches. 5, this has to be 2, because it's the same modularity 3 away. So this is 7, same modularity. This is 6, this is 2. This 6 means this is 9, this is 5. So this becomes 7. This cannot be 7. This has to be a 6 then, because of Sudoku. This is a 2 because of Sudoku. These can't be 2. Therefore, we know the 9 is over here, which means the 9 does have to be here. So this is a 1 or 9. And, okay, so this is, from Sudoku, we know it's 5 or 8. So this can't be 8 because of Sudoku, so this is a 5. This is an 8 because of Sudoku. So the 5 is right there, which means this is 4, this is 5 because of Sudoku still. 1, 2, 3, this is 7 because of Sudoku. We don't know about this. This is 6 or 7. No, 6. This can't be 7, that can't be 7. This becomes 6 or 7. Okay, it has to be 7 because that's the 5. So this is 7, which means this is 9, which forces this to be 2 because of the 159 rule. This is 6, which forces this to be 9 because of 159 rule. This is 7 because of Sudoku. Um, this cannot be 7, so the 6 can only be here now, which means this is 6, so this has to be 5 because of the 159 rule. So this can't be 5, this can't be 5. We know this is an 8. This is 1 or 9. This cannot be, this has to be 2 or 8, so it cannot be 8 because of Sudoku. So this is 2, which makes that 1 because of the crop key dot rule, which is the consecutive white dot rule. So this becomes 9. This forces this to be 5 because of 159. This becomes 9 because of Sudoku, 1 because of Sudoku, 9 because of Sudoku, 5 because of Sudoku, 1 because of Sudoku. We have 4 and 7. This can't be 7 because of Sudoku, so that's 7. This is 4. This is 3. This is 6. These are all because of Sudoku. This has to be 2. This has to be 4. And this has to be 6. Woo! And that's the solution. Again, I am not good with the 159 rule. I don't have a good sense of the specific shortcuts, I guess, that you know if you've done a lot of these 159 rules, I guess. Um, yeah, and that was the solve. I hope my explanation makes sense. I've been getting some feedback, and I'm trying to listen to the feedback, and it says that I don't explain things well enough, and I'm trying to, I do sometimes jump ahead often because my brain just works that way. I often jump from overstep sometimes. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that solve, and I'll see you next time on Frank Puzzles. Take care.